Hello there and welcome to Star Wars 1000. Star Wars question of the day: did Kylo Ren have a secret apprentice? Now at the moment there's no evidence that Kylo Ren had another apprentice, but it seems like there's a trend in Star Wars where every main villain at some point had a apprentice or a secret apprentice that no one really knew about. Like Count Dooku had Asajj Ventress, and Darth Sidious had Maul in the Phantom Menace. Darth Vader had the secret apprentice of Starkiller. Revan had Malak. I mean, you can look at the list of the many Sith who had apprentices or secret apprentices, and it seems like it's only a matter of time until we read some comic where Kylo Ren ended up having an apprentice of his own. And of course, it would be off screen from the movies because every apprentice is off screen from the actual movies, like Asajj Ventress wasn't in Revenge of the Sith as well. It's because she had died in around the time of the Clone Wars. Also, there's Maul, who had Savage Opress, and then also Maul tried to recruit Ezra as his new apprentice as well. So in my opinion, I feel like it's only a matter of time until Kylo Ren ends up having an apprentice that's just off screen in some comic book, or maybe we'll see Kylo Ren's apprentice in a TV show. I could be completely wrong and it turns out Kylo Ren is not the type of character to have an apprentice, but it just seems like every Sith or Dark Jedi at some point ends up having an apprentice in Star Wars. I can't really think of a main Sith Lord or a Sith apprentice who ends up having a secret apprentice or whatever. Even Darth Vader, like I said, had an apprentice, and he was off screen. He was in the video game The Force Unleashed. And yes, Kylo Ren is not technically considered a Sith. He's considered a dark side user. And like Maul, after he was done with Darth Sidious, it seemed like he was done with the Sith, and he had an apprentice as well. He tried to have another apprentice after Savage Opress. He had tried to get Ezra to become his apprentice, and he was not really considered a Sith anymore either. He stopped going by Darth Maul, and he's just referred as Maul now, and he's just another random dark side user. And with Maul, he tried to have an apprentice, and he did have an apprentice, and he tried to have another apprentice after Savage Opress. So who could Kylo Ren's apprentice be, or secret apprentice be? Did we see the character yet, or is it going to be a brand new original character? I really can't think of a character that it could end up being that we already know. Like, the only character I could really think of is Grogu, which I think wouldn't really make any sense if Grogu ends up being Kylo Ren's apprentice. And characters like Ezra and Jason Syndulla would be too old to be Kylo Ren's apprentice. I do believe if Kylo Ren was to have an apprentice, we have not met that character yet, or we've not seen that character yet. Maybe Kylo Ren just ends up finding this Force-sensitive being and ends up training that character as his apprentice, or maybe it came from the Jedi Temple that he destroyed. But I'm on the side that we have not seen the character yet, and we have not been introduced to Kylo Ren's supposed apprentice if he ends up having one. Also, it is possible for Kylo Ren to have an apprentice in the era between episodes 8 and 9, but I'm going to go with the theory that nothing really happens in between episodes 8 and 9, and I really don't think Kylo Ren could have had an apprentice during that time period, because I think he was very focused on Rey. And it only takes place in about a span of a year, which is very unfortunate. I really wish that they made that time gap in between episodes 8 through 9 longer, because we could have had like a TV show like the Clone Wars if they made that time gap like 3 to 4 years. Or originally in the Duel of Fates script, the original episode 9 made by Colin Trevorrow, the time gap between episodes 8 and 9 I believe was 5 years, which could have made such a great show. Like if we had a Clone Wars type of show in between episodes 8 and 9, if that time period in between those two movies was longer, they could have made a very interesting show like the Clone Wars. But unfortunately, that can't happen because it's like about a year. And I mean, sure, you can make a whole TV show in the span of a year, but not really. I mean, we hear what happens in episode 9, what happens in between those two movies. The three main characters of Poe, Rey, and Finn become more friends with each other. They become more of a trio, and Kylo Ren just ends up looking for Exegol and all that in episode 9. So nothing could really happen between episodes 8 to 9, and I don't think Kylo Ren could have an apprentice in that time period. I mean, it is possible, but I think Kylo Ren could have an apprentice sometime before The Force Awakens. I do believe Kylo Ren will have an apprentice at some point, and yes, it's not confirmed. This is just speculation at the moment. I'm just speculating based off what has happened in previous Star Wars stories when it comes to dark side Force users and how they always end up having an apprentice of some kind. So I believe Kylo Ren did have an apprentice, and he had that apprentice at some point before The Force Awakens. And it's an original character that we have never seen before. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they added this apprentice at some point, like in the comic book or in a TV show later on down the line. because at some point they're going to flesh out more of the sequel characters, and one way to do that is to give a character a secret apprentice or an apprentice we just never saw on the big screen yet. So to wrap up the video, may the force be with you always.